Amelia Walsh floated near the window of the mining ship Horizon, looking out at the vast emptiness of space. Small bits of rock drifted past as the ship approached asteroid BD 7249. She brushed her brown hair from her face and checked her tablet. One more time. The readings were strange. This asteroid had something special inside it, something that made her scientific mind curious. "Amelia, are you ready for the landing?" Captain Olivia Sutton called from the bridge. Her voice was calm, but firm. She had led the Horizon crew for 5 years and everyone trusted her judgment. "Yes, Captain. The readings are still unusual." "This isn't a normal rock," Amelia replied, pushing away from the window and floating toward her workstation. The Horizon was a mining vessel sent to gather valuable minerals from the asteroid belt. 12 people lived and worked on the ship, traveling far from Earth to find resources. Amelia was the lead geologist, the person who studied rocks and told the miners where to dig. "Team meeting in 5 minutes," announced the ship's computer in its flat voice. Amelia gathered her notes and joined the others in the small meeting room. Maps and charts of the asteroid belt covered the walls. Coffee cups floated in special holders to prevent spills in the zero gravity. "Our scans show something odd," Amelia said to the group. She touched her tablet, and a 3D image of the asteroid appeared above the table. "See these energy readings? They're not natural, and the density patterns suggest the asteroid is hollow in places." Dr. Kimberly Hayes, the team's scientist who studied possible alien life, leaned forward. "Could it be artificial? Maybe not a natural formation?" Captain Sutton frowned. "Are you suggesting this is some kind of alien structure?" Amelia shook her head. "I'm not suggesting anything yet. I'm just showing what our instruments detected. We need to get closer to know more." The captain nodded. "Okay, prepare the landing shuttle. Amelia, Kim, you're with me. We'll take a closer look." 3 hours later, Amelia sat in the small shuttle as it approached the asteroid's surface. Through the window, she could see the dark, rocky surface getting closer. But as they neared, something unexpected happened. A line of blue light appeared on the asteroid's surface. "What is that?" whispered Amelia. The line grew wider, spreading across the surface like a crack in ice. Then, before their shocked eyes, a section of the asteroid's surface slid open, revealing a dark entrance. "That's definitely not natural," said Kim, her voice shaking slightly. Captain Sutton's hands were steady on the controls. "Should we retreat?" Amelia felt a strange pull toward the opening. "No, we came here to explore. Let's do it." The captain guided the shuttle slowly into the opening. Lights from the shuttle revealed a tunnel leading deeper into the asteroid. The walls were smooth, clearly made by intelligent beings. "This is amazing," breathed Kim. Humanity's first contact with alien technology. The tunnel widened into a large chamber. The shuttle's lights revealed walls made of a crystal-like material that seemed to glow faintly. Symbols covered the walls, unlike any language from Earth. "I'm setting us down," said the captain, finding a flat area large enough for the shuttle. After checking that the chamber had air they could breathe, the 3 women stepped out of the shuttle. Their boots touched the smooth floor with soft thuds. The air was cool but breathable. "Look at this place," said Kim, shining her light around. "It must be thousands of years old at least." Amelia walked toward the nearest wall where symbols glowed with a soft blue light. As she got closer, the glow became brighter. When she stopped, the light dimmed again. "Did you see that?" she asked. "It reacted to me." Kim stepped next to her, but the symbols remained dim. "Try again," she suggested. Amelia moved closer to the wall. Again, the symbols brightened. "It's responding to my presence somehow." "Maybe it's detecting your body heat or movement," said the captain. "No, it's more than that," said Kim, watching closely. "It's not doing it for me or Olivia, just for Amelia." Feeling drawn to the glowing patterns, Amelia lifted her hand toward the wall. The captain called out a warning, but Amelia's fingers had already touched the smooth surface. The moment she made contact, the entire chamber came alive with light. The walls, floor, and ceiling glowed with bright blue energy that flowed like water through the crystal structure. The symbols began to move, rearranging themselves across the surfaces. "What did you do?" gasped Captain Sutton. "I don't know," said Amelia. But she wasn't afraid. Somehow this felt right, as if she was meant to be here. Above their heads, a map of stars appeared, floating in the air like a hologram. A single point of light pulsed at the center of the map. "It's a star map," said Kim excitedly. "Those constellations don't match anything in our charts. This is showing us somewhere else, somewhere far from here." The image changed, showing the outline of a woman with a crown-like structure on her head. The figure seemed to beckon to them. "It's an invitation," Amelia said softly. She knew, without understanding how, that the map was meant for her. "Captain," Sutton touched her communicator. "Horizon, this is the captain. We've found something incredible. Prepare to receive our data." As they documented everything they could, Amelia felt a strange connection to this place. The symbols seemed almost familiar, like a language she should know but had forgotten. When she touched other walls, they too came to life, revealing more images and maps. "Whatever built this place left it here for someone to find," said Kim. "Maybe it's been waiting for centuries." "But why respond to me?" asked Amelia. Kim had no answer, but as they prepared to return to the horizon, Amelia heard a faint sound, like a whisper in her mind. It wasn't in English or any language she knew, but somehow she understood the message. "Return to us. The time has come." That night, as the horizon orbited the asteroid and the crew prepared reports for Earth, Amelia dreamed of crystal corridors and distant stars. In her dreams, a voice called to her across the vastness of space, a voice that somehow knew her name. Earth would need to know about this discovery. The United Earth Defense Council would have to decide what to do next. But Amelia already knew what their next mission would be. They would follow the star map to its destination. Something was waiting for them among the stars. Something that had been waiting for a very long time. And somehow Amelia Walsh, a simple geologist from Earth, was the key to finding it. News of the discovery spread quickly when the Horizon sent its data back to Earth. For weeks, the United Earth Defense Council debated what to do. Some wanted to send a large military fleet. Others warned against going at all. In the end, Admiral Eleanor Blackwood made the final choice. "We will send the Horizon back," she told the Council. "If these aliens wanted to harm us, they could have done so already. This seems to be an invitation, and it would be rude to ignore it." Back on the Horizon, Amelia prepared for the long journey. The star map showed a location hidden behind a thick cloud of dust and gas that Earth's telescopes couldn't see through. They would need 3 months to reach it. "Are you nervous?" asked Dr. Kim as they checked their supplies one last time. Amelia nodded. "Yes, but also excited. I feel like I'm meant to go there." The night before they left, Amelia had another strange dream. She walked through hallways made of living crystal that changed color as she passed. A voice spoke to her in a language she had never heard, yet somehow understood. "You carry the legacy within you," the voice said. "Return to us." When she woke up, the words stayed with her, echoing in her mind like a song she couldn't forget. The journey was long and quiet. Space travel meant spending weeks in the emptiness between stars. The crew kept busy with work and games, but Amelia often found herself staring out at the stars, wondering what waited for them. Her dreams became more frequent and vivid. In them, she saw a massive ring-shaped structure floating in space. She saw beings with forearms and skin that glowed like opals, and always, the voice called to her, telling her to hurry. Captain Sutton noticed the changes in her. "You've been distant lately," she said one day. "Are you all right?" "I keep having these dreams," Amelia admitted. "They feel so real. I see the place we're going to, and I hear voices speaking to me." The captain looked worried. "Maybe you should talk to our doctor." "No," said Amelia quickly. "I'm fine, just excited about what we'll find." 2 months into their journey, the ship's sensors detected something unusual ahead. There's a distortion in space, reported Diane Foster, who handled communications. Like a ripple in water. As they watched, a small object appeared from the ripple and moved toward them. It was a probe of some kind with a sleek design unlike any human technology. "It's scanning us," said Diane, checking her instruments. Before anyone could react, a voice came through their communication system. It spoke in perfect English. "Welcome, travelers from Earth. We have awaited your return for many cycles. Please, follow the guidance beacon to safe passage through the nebula." The crew looked at each other in shock. The aliens knew English. They had been expecting them. "The inheritor approaches," the voice continued. "Prepare the convergence chamber." "Inheritor?" whispered Kim. "What does that mean?" Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. Somehow she knew they were talking about her. The probe emitted a bright light that created a path through the nebula. Captain Sutton decided to follow it. As they traveled deeper into the cloud, strange lights danced around the ship. Beautiful, but alien. Finally, they emerged from the nebula, and everyone gasped at what they saw. It wasn't a planet waiting for them. It was a massive ring structure that circled an entire star. The ring was so huge that it would take days to travel from one side to the other. Lights covered its surface, showing cities and forests and oceans, all built on the inner side of the ring. "That's impossible," breathed Kim. "No one could build something that big." "The architects could," said Amelia, not knowing where the words came from. Everyone turned to look at her. "Who are the architects?" asked the captain. Amelia shook her head, confused. "I don't know, the words just came to me." More ships appeared, escorting them toward the massive ring. They were beautiful vessels with curved shapes that looked more like sea creatures than machines. As they got closer to the ring, they could see more details. There were cities that shimmered with crystal towers, forests with trees taller than skyscrapers, and bodies of water that seemed to flow upward, defying gravity. "We've never seen anything like this," said Diane. "This civilization is far more advanced than ours." Their shuttle was guided to a massive docking bay where thousands of beings had gathered. They were tall and elegant, with 4 arms and skin that changed colors like the surface of a soap bubble. Their eyes were like those of insects but larger, with many facets that caught the light. "The Luminari," said Amelia, again not knowing how she knew the name. Ambassador Catherine Shaw, who had joined their mission from Earth, straightened her uniform. "Remember, we represent all of humanity. Be respectful and careful." As they prepared to exit the shuttle, Diane pointed to the crowd. "They're making a path, see? They want us to walk that way." A wide path had opened in the crowd, leading to a large structure at the center of the docking bay. The aliens stood silently, watching with their many-faceted eyes. "They're waiting for someone," whispered Diane. "And I don't think it's all of us." Amelia felt drawn to the path as if invisible hands were pulling her forward. When the shuttle door opened, she was the first to step out. The air smelled sweet, like flowers after rain. The gravity felt like Earth's, making it easy to walk. As the human group moved forward along the path, the aliens watched them silently. Some of them changed color when Amelia passed, their skin shifting from blue to gold. At the end of the path stood a being different from the others. She was taller, with skin that glowed with its own inner light. On her head was a crown made of crystal that sparkled with all the colors of a rainbow. She stood straight and proud, watching as the humans approached. "That must be their leader," said Catherine quietly. As they got closer, Amelia could feel the alien queen's eyes on her. There was something in that gaze that made her heart beat faster. Recognition? Expectation? She couldn't tell. The group stopped a few steps away from the queen. Catherine stepped forward to speak, but before she could say a word, something unexpected happened. The queen's many-faceted eyes widened as she looked at Amelia. Then, in a movement that shocked everyone, she stepped down from her platform and knelt on one knee before Amelia, bowing her crowned head. Around them, every alien in the vast chamber did the same. kneeling in a wave that spread outward like ripples in a pond. Thousands of beings bowed to a simple human geologist from Earth. "The seed-bearer returns," said the Queen in a musical voice that seemed to sing rather than speak. "The progenitor's heir stands before us." Amelia stood frozen, unable to believe. What was happening? Why would this advanced being kneel to her? What did the Queen see that made her show such respect? When she finally found her voice, Amelia asked the only question she could think of. "Who am I to you?" The Queen looked up, her eyes reflecting the light like living gems. "You are the descendant of those who created us," she said. "Your genetic pattern carries the activation keys to technologies that have waited dormant since the Sundering. You are the last of the architects, and our salvation against what comes." Amelia didn't understand the words, but deep inside, something resonated with them, as if part of her had always known this truth and had been waiting to hear it spoken aloud. Behind her, the human crew watched in stunned silence as an alien civilization knelt before one of their own. Whatever they had expected to find on this journey, it wasn't this. Queen Viridian rose from her kneeling position but kept her head slightly bowed to Amelia. The gesture made the human crew uncomfortable. They had come prepared to meet aliens as equals, or even as less advanced beings seeking wisdom. They hadn't expected their geologist to be treated like a god. "Please stand up," Amelia said to the Queen. "I don't understand what's happening here." The Queen's skin rippled with colors like an aurora. "Of course you would not remember. The memory was hidden to protect you until the time was right." Her voice was musical, each word like a note in a song. "Come with me to the memory chamber. There you will understand." Captain Sutton stepped forward. "Amelia isn't going anywhere alone." Queen Viridian looked at the captain with her many-faceted eyes. "The inheritor's companions are welcome. We have prepared living spaces for all of you. You are honored guests of the Luminary Collective." The aliens led the human crew through vast hallways with high ceilings that seemed to be made of living crystal. The walls changed colors as they passed, responding to their presence. Other luminary they passed bowed deeply to Amelia, making her more uncomfortable. "Why do they keep bowing to me?" she whispered to Kim. "I think you're important to them somehow." Kim replied, "Maybe you look like someone from their history." They were shown to beautiful rooms with comfortable furniture that seemed to grow from the floor. The windows looked out over the vast ring world, showing forests and lakes stretching far into the distance. After they had rested and eaten strange but delicious food, Queen Viridian returned. "Are you ready to learn the truth, Inheritor?" she asked Amelia. Amelia nodded. "Yes, but please call me Amelia." The Queen's eyes sparkled. "As you wish." Amelia. The memory chamber was a circular room deep inside the central tower. The walls were covered with the same symbols they had found in the asteroid. In the center was a chair made of the same crystal-like material. "Sit," said the Queen gently. "The chamber will do the rest." Amelia hesitated, then sat in the chair. Immediately, it molded itself to fit her body perfectly. The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, pulsing with blue light. "What's happening?" asked Catherine, watching nervously. "The memory transfer begins," said Queen Viridian. "Amelia will learn who she truly is." The lights grew brighter, surrounding Amelia in a cocoon of blue energy. Inside that light, images flooded her mind. She saw beings that looked almost human but taller, with a faint glow to their skin. They wore simple clothing and worked with technology beyond anything she had seen before. These were the architects, an ancient race that had explored the galaxy millions of years ago. They had found a universe empty of intelligent life and decided to change that. Using their advanced knowledge of genetics and energy, they created new species on many worlds, guiding their evolution. The Luminari were one of their creations, designed to be guardians of important technologies. Each alien species the architects created had a purpose in their grand plan for a galaxy filled with different kinds of life. But then came the Void Convergence, a dark force from beyond the Muon galaxy that consumed all life it touched. The architects fought a long war against this enemy, using weapons powered by their unique genetic pattern. When they began to lose, a small group fled to a distant, primitive planet, Earth. There, they mixed with the early humans, diluting their genetic pattern over thousands of generations. They knew that someday, by chance, a human would be born with enough of the original pattern to activate the old systems. They had left signs and technology throughout the galaxy, waiting for that person to return. Amelia was that person. Through a specific combination of genes, she carried enough of the architect pattern to awaken their dormant technology. The asteroid had been a test, designed to activate only for someone with the right genetic code. As the visions faded, Amelia gasped for breath. Her mind struggled to process what she had seen. It felt like years had passed, but when she looked at her friends, she knew it had only been minutes. "Now do you understand?" asked Queen Viridian. "I think so," Amelia said slowly. "You believe. I'm descended from these architects, the beings who created your species." "Not believe." "No," corrected the Queen. "The memory chamber has confirmed your genetic pattern. You are the one we have waited for." Catherine stepped forward. "Even if this is true, what does it mean for Earth? Why show us all this now?" A tall luminary with deep blue skin entered the chamber and bowed. "My Queen, Admiral Talia requests your presence. Our long-range sensors have detected movement at the edge of the system." Queen Viridian's skin paled. "It seems the enemy has found us. Sooner than expected." She turned to the humans. "The void convergence stirs again. Our sensors detect their scout ships approaching from the galactic rim. Without the architect technologies that only Amelia can activate, we cannot hope to repel them." "What does this mean for Earth?" Catherine asked, her voice sharp with worry. "The void convergence consumes all life in its path," replied the Queen. "If we fall, Earth follows. Your world would be defenseless against them. Our only hope lies in the weapons. Systems only an architect or their descendant can activate." As if to emphasize her point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Screens appeared in the air, showing a tear in space at the edge of the star system. A dark shape was emerging from the tear. "The first wave has arrived," said Queen Viridian, her voice grim. "We must prepare for battle." "I need more time," Amelia protested. "I've only just learned about all this. I don't know how to activate these weapons you're talking about." "Time," replied the Queen sadly, "is the one resource the universe has denied us." They rushed to a large room filled with luminari working at control stations. On a massive screen, they could see the tear in space growing larger. Admiral Talia, a stern-looking luminari with silver skin, greeted them with a quick bow to Amelia. "The enemy has sent 3 scout ships," she reported. "Our outer defenses are engaging them now, but they will not hold for long." On the screen, beautiful ships with flowing lines fought against dark, angular vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Energy beams cut through space, some finding their targets, others missing. "Your vessel, the Horizon, is safe in our central docking bay," Admiral Talia told Captain Sutton. "But I would advise against attempting to leave. The battle will make space travel dangerous." "We're not going anywhere," said the captain firmly. "If Earth is threatened by these things, then we stand with you." Admiral Talia's skin flickered, with colors that might have been surprise or respect. "We welcome your assistance, though I'm not sure how your technology can help against the void ships." "We may not have your advanced weapons," said Captain Sutton, "but we have different perspectives. Sometimes seeing a problem with fresh eyes can help find new solutions." While they talked, Amelia watched the battle on the screen. Something about the dark ships seemed familiar, as if she had seen them before. Then she remembered. They had been in the visions from the memory chamber. The architects had fought these same enemies long ago. "I need to go back to the memory chamber," she said suddenly. "There might be something there that can help us." Queen Viridian nodded. "I will take you. The rest of your crew can stay here and help coordinate with Admiral Talia." As they hurried back to the chamber, Amelia's mind raced. If she really was descended from these architects, if she really could activate their old technology, then maybe she could help save both the Luminari and Earth. But the idea seemed too big, too impossible. I'm just a geologist, she said as they walked. I study rocks. How am I supposed to fight an ancient enemy from beyond the galaxy? Queen Viridian's skin glowed softly in the dim hallway. The architects were not warriors by nature. They were creators, scientists, explorers. You carry their legacy, not just in your blood, but in your spirit, your curiosity, your desire to understand the universe. These are the traits that will guide you. They reached the memory chamber, and Amelia sat once more in the crystal chair. This time, knowing what to expect, she opened her mind to the visions that came. She saw the weapons the architects had used against the void convergence. Not just weapons that destroyed, but technologies that created and protected. Shields that could block the dark energy. Devices that could close the tears in space. And at the heart of it all, a system built into the very structure of Nexus Prime waiting to be awakened. As the visions faded, Amelia knew what she had to do. The path ahead was clear, though not easy. She would need to access more of the hidden knowledge within her genetic memory, and quickly. The fate of 2 civilizations now rested on her shoulders. For the next 2 days, Amelia spent hours in the memory chamber, absorbing knowledge that had waited millions of years for her. Each session left her exhausted but filled with new understanding. The human crew worked alongside the luminary, offering whatever help they could against the growing threat. Captain Sutton coordinated with Admiral Talia, sharing Earth's battle strategies. They were simpler than the luminary tactics, but sometimes offered new perspectives the aliens hadn't considered. Your species thinks differently than ours, Admiral Talia told the captain. Where we see patterns, you see possibilities. It is refreshing. The Void Convergence's first attack had been pushed back, but at a cost. 3 luminary ships had been destroyed, and the outer defense ring had suffered heavy damage. Worse, the sensors showed more tiers forming at the edge of the system. The enemy was sending a larger force. Diane Foster worked with the luminary communication experts, helping them find new ways to coordinate their fleet. Kim studied the enemy ships, looking for weaknesses in their design. The dark material they're made of absorbs energy weapons, she reported. But it might be vulnerable to physical impacts. If we could use asteroids or debris as weapons. In the memory chamber, Amelia learned more about her heritage. The architects hadn't just created life. They had built systems to protect it. Nexus Prime was more than a habitat. It was a hub for a galaxy-spanning network designed to nurture and defend against threats. But the network had been dormant since the architects fled, and only someone with their genetic pattern could reactivate. And on the 3rd day of the siege, as the outer rings of Nexus Prime suffered more damage, Amelia finally accessed the core systems. The knowledge flowed through her mind like a river, showing her exactly what to do. She rushed to the control center where Queen Viridian and the others waited. The main screen showed the battle raging around the station. More dark ships had arrived, their weapons cutting through the luminary defenses. I know how to activate the defense system, Amelia announced, but I need to get to the central spire. The central spire was the tallest structure on Nexus Prime, rising high above the ring world. The luminary had thought it was merely decorative, a symbol of their creator's artistry. But Amelia now knew it was much more. It's the control nexus for the entire defense network, she explained. From there I can activate systems that have been dormant for millennia. Queen Viridian immediately ordered a transport to take them to the spire. As they flew above the ring world, Amelia could see the damage the battle had caused. Parts of the outer rings were dark, their power systems destroyed. Fires burned in some areas, while emergency teams worked to save the injured. The spire gleamed in the light of the system's sun, its crystal surface reflecting the stars. Inside, they found a large empty room with a single platform in the center. This doesn't look like a control room, said Captain Sutton, who had insisted on coming with them. It's not. At least not in the way you're thinking, Amelia replied. She stepped onto the platform and immediately, the floor around it began to glow with the same symbols they had seen in the asteroid. The entire spire is a control interface, she explained. It responds directly to architect genetic patterns and mental commands. As she spoke, The air around the platform shimmered, and controls formed from light appeared within reach of her hands. Screens of energy showed different parts of Nexus Prime and the surrounding space. "It's beautiful," breathed Queen Viridian. Amelia placed her hands on the controls, and the entire spire hummed with power. She could feel the systems responding to her touch, awakening after eons of sleep. Knowledge from the memory chamber guided her actions as she activated defense protocols that had been waiting for an architect's command. Throughout Nexus Prime, hidden mechanisms came to life. Walls shifted, revealing weapon emplacements. Shields strengthened, their energy signature changing to counter the void weapons, and the spire itself began to pulse with golden light that spread through the entire station. "What's happening?" asked Captain Sutton, watching in awe. "I've activated the primary defense grid," Amelia said, her voice distant as she concentrated on the controls. "It's connecting to other nodes throughout the system." On the screens, they could see the Luminary fleet regrouping as new energy flowed into their ships. The golden light formed a shield around Nexus Prime, pushing back the dark energy from the void vessels. "It's working!" cried Queen Viridian, her skin flashing with joy. But Amelia frowned. "This is just the beginning. The defense system will hold them back for now, but the void convergence will return with greater numbers. And they're not just attacking here. They'll target every living world in the galaxy, including Earth." She turned to face the Queen and, "Captain, we need to rebuild the entire architect network. Nexus Prime is just one node in a system designed to protect all life. With humanity and the Luminary working together, we can reactivate the others." Queen Viridian nodded solemnly. "As it was always meant to be. The architects created us to be guardians, but we could not fulfill our purpose without you." "Captain," Sutton looked worried. "Earth isn't ready for this kind of knowledge. The Defense Council will want to use it for their own purposes." "Which is why we need to be careful," Amelia agreed. "But we don't have a choice. If the void convergence reaches Earth, humanity won't stand a chance." As they spoke, Admiral Talia contacted them with urgent news. "The enemy fleet is retreating. Your defenses have driven them back. But our long-range sensors detect more tiers forming beyond the nebula. They will return, and in greater numbers." "Then we have work to do," said Amelia. Through the control interface, she accessed maps showing the locations of other architect facilities throughout the galaxy. Some were hidden on planets, others in asteroids or moons. All contained pieces of the network that, once reconnected, could form a shield around inhabited worlds. "We'll need to send teams to each of these locations," she explained. "Human and Luminary working together, with ships that can defend themselves against void attacks." Queen Viridian's skin rippled with determination. "My people will prepare immediately. We have waited generations for this moment." Captain Sutton looked at Amelia with new respect. The shy geologist she had known had changed, growing into a leader before her eyes. "Earth will need to be told what's happening. They'll need to prepare for the truth about humanity's place in the cosmos." Amelia nodded. "I'll speak to them myself. As the only human who can activate the architect systems, they'll have to listen to me." Later, as the immediate crisis passed and the Luminary began preparations for the greater battle ahead, Amelia stood alone at a window overlooking the vast ring world. The knowledge she had gained in the memory chamber had changed her forever. She was still Amelia Walsh, still a geologist who loved studying rocks and minerals, but she was also the heir to an ancient legacy, the bridge between two civilizations that needed each other to survive. Admiral Talia found her there, watching the sunset reflect off the curved horizon of Nexus Prime. "The Queen requests your presence for the War Council," she said, bowing slightly. "Please stop bowing to me," Amelia said gently. "I'm not really an architect, just someone who happens to have their genes." The Admiral's skin flickered with colors that might have been amusement. "You are more than that. You have awakened our purpose after so long. Before you came, we were just surviving. Now we have a mission again." As they walked to the council chamber, Amelia thought about the road ahead. It would not be easy to convince Earth to join this ancient war. Humans were suspicious of aliens and protective of their independence, but the threat was real, and time was short. In the council chamber, luminary leaders gathered around a large table with holograms showing the HFY galaxy. Captain Sutton and the human crew sat on one side, while Queen Viridian presided from the head of the table. "Our scouts report that the void convergence is regrouping," said Admiral Talia. "We estimate 2 weeks before they return in force." "Then we have 2 weeks to prepare," replied Queen Viridian. She turned to Amelia. "The architect facilities closest to us are on the 4th moon of the gas giant in the Lyra system, and inside a dormant volcano on the planet humans call Proxima Centauri b. We should target those first." Amelia nodded, studying the map. "We'll need 2 teams. I can't be in both places at once, but I might be able to create activation keys that others can use, based on my genetic pattern." As they discussed strategy and formed plans, Amelia felt a strange mix of emotions. Fear at the enormous task ahead, pride in being chosen for this role, and hope that 2 species, working together, could face a threat neither could handle alone. The war for survival had just begun, but for the first time in millennia, the galaxy had a chance to fight back against the darkness that threatened to consume it. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of activity. Amelia worked day and night in the memory chamber, absorbing more knowledge from the architect records. Each session left her with a deeper understanding of the technologies she needed to activate. But it also changed her in subtle ways. Her eyes now had a faint glow in dim light. Her skin seemed to shimmer when she was deep in thought, and sometimes she knew things she had never learned. "You're becoming more like them," Kim told her one evening as they shared a meal. "The architects, I mean." "Does that scare you?" asked Amelia. Kim smiled. "No, you're still you, just more." The Luminari prepared their fleet for battle, upgrading their ships with technology Amelia had helped them recover. Captain Sutton and the Horizon crew threw themselves into the work, learning to operate Luminari systems and sharing what they knew about Earth tactics. Earth had been contacted and told a simplified version of the truth. There were aliens. They needed help. A threat was coming. The full story would wait until humanity was ready to hear it. For now, the United Earth Defense Council had agreed to send a small fleet to assist the Luminari, though it would take months for them to arrive. 2 days before the expected return of the void convergence, Amelia stood in the control spire, watching the preparations on the screens around her. Teams had been sent to the nearest architect facilities, carrying genetic keys she had created from her own DNA. If they succeeded, 2 more nodes in the ancient network would come online, strengthening their defenses. Queen Viridian joined her, the crystal crown on her head catching the light. "You have done more in 2 weeks than my people accomplished in 1,000 years, she said. "I had help," replied Amelia. "Your people kept the knowledge safe until I arrived. Without you, there would be nothing left to find." The Queen's skin rippled with soft colors. The architect and the guardian working together as it was always meant to be. A sudden alarm interrupted their conversation. Admiral Talia's voice came through the communication system. "They're here! Multiple space-time tiers detected at the edge of the system, much larger than before." Amelia rushed to the control interface, placing her hands on the glowing surfaces. Screens showed the tiers forming dark against the stars. From each tier emerged a void ship, larger and more menacing than those in the first wave. "How many?" asked Queen Viridian. "I count 27 ships," replied Admiral Talia. "Our fleet is moving to intercept, but we are outnumbered." Amelia accessed the defense grid, channeling power to the shields that protected Nexus Prime. Golden Eye. Energy flowed through the structure, forming a barrier around the ring world, but would it be enough? The battle began with an exchange of energy weapons. Luminari ships, sleek and agile, darted around the larger void vessels, firing precision shots at weak points Kim had identified. The enemy responded with dark energy, beams that seemed to eat through matter itself. From the control spire, Amelia coordinated the fixed defenses, targeting the largest enemy ships with weapons hidden throughout Nexus Prime. The golden shields held against the dark energy, but each hit made them flicker and weaken. "We need more power," she muttered. searching the architect systems for anything that could help. Deep in the interface, she found a protocol she hadn't noticed before. It was labeled in the architect language with a symbol that meant last resort. Activating it would channel energy directly from the star that Nexus Prime orbited, giving them a massive power boost. But it would strain the systems beyond their safe limits. "I found something," she told Queen Viridian. "But it's risky. If it fails, we could lose all power to the station. If we do nothing, we will surely fall," replied the Queen. "Take the risk." Amelia activated the protocol. The control interface glowed brighter, almost painfully so. She could feel the energy flowing through the systems, through the spire, through her. It was too much for the old circuits, some of which began to overload and burn out. But the shields strengthened, pushing back the dark energy from the void weapons. On the screens, they watched as the tide of battle began to turn. The reinforced shields gave the Luminary fleet the protection they needed to press their attack. Several void ships took critical damage and withdrew back through the space-time tiers, but the victory came at a cost. Alarm signals flashed across the control screens as systems throughout Nexus Prime began to fail under the strain. The living quarters in the outer rings lost power. Life support in some sections began to shut down. "We need to evacuate the outer rings," Queen Viridian ordered. "Bring everyone to the central hub." As the evacuation began, a massive void ship broke through the defensive line and headed straight for Nexus Prime. It was twice the size of the others, its dark surface absorbing all light that touched it. "That must be their command ship," said Amelia, redirecting defenses to target it. The golden shields around the station wavered as the command ship fired its main weapon. A beam of pure darkness struck the shields, eating through the energy like acid through cloth. Alarms blared as sections of the shield began to fail. "It's too powerful," gasped Queen Viridian. "Our shields can't hold against that weapon." Amelia searched desperately through the architect systems, looking for anything that could stop the enemy ship. Then she found it, a protocol buried deep in the defensive systems, something the architects had developed but never used. It would create a localized distortion in space-time, similar to the tiers the void ships used but controlled and directed. The risk was enormous. If it worked, it would send the enemy command ship into a pocket dimension from which it couldn't return. But if the calculations were wrong, it could tear apart the fabric of space around Nexus Prime, destroying them all. "I have one option left," she told the Queen. "But it's dangerous. Very dangerous." Queen Viridian looked at the screens showing the enemy ship drawing closer, its weapon preparing to fire again. "We trust you, Amelia. Do what you must." Taking a deep breath, Amelia activated the protocol. The control interface changed, showing new patterns she had never seen before. Following instincts she didn't know she had, she shaped the energy, focusing it on the space around the enemy command ship. The air in the control spire grew heavy, as if reality itself was being compressed. Amelia felt a pressure inside her head, behind her eyes. The control interface burned hot under her hands, but she didn't let go. On the screen, the space around the void command ship began to distort. Stars seemed to bend around it, light twisting in impossible ways. The ship fired, its weapon again, but the beam curved away, caught in the growing distortion. "It's working," whispered Queen Viridian. The distortion grew stronger, creating a sphere of twisted space-time around the enemy ship. Inside that sphere, reality itself began to fold, creating a pocket separate from normal space. The ship tried to escape, firing its engines at full power, but the distortion pulled it in like a whirlpool. With a final surge of energy that made the entire spire shake, Amelia completed the protocol. The distortion collapsed in on itself, taking the enemy command ship with it. Where it had been was now just empty space, a slight ripple in the stars, the only evidence of what had happened. The effort was too much. Amelia collapsed, her mind overwhelmed by the power she had channeled. Queen Viridian caught her before she hit the floor, calling urgently for medical help. When Amelia woke hours later, the battle was over. Without their command ship, the remaining void vessels had retreated, disappearing back through the tiers in space. Nexus Prime had survived, though with heavy damage that would take months to repair. She found herself in a healing chamber, with Queen Viridian and Captain Sutton watching over her. They looked tired but relieved. "You did it," said the captain. "You saved the station." "Not just the station," added the Queen. "You gave us hope. For the first time in our history, the void convergence was driven back." Amelia sat up slowly, feeling strange echoes of the power she had channeled. "They'll return," she said. "This was just one battle in a war that's lasted millions of years. But now we know they can be defeated," replied Queen Viridian. "And we have you, the Architect's heir, to guide us." The next few days were filled with recovery and planning. The team sent to the other Architect facilities reported success. 2 more nodes in the ancient network were now active, extending their defensive capabilities. Earth had been updated on the situation and was preparing for the possibility of a void attack. A week after the battle, Amelia stood with Queen Viridian and Captain Sutton on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. The damage to Nexus Prime was visible. Dark sections where power had not yet been restored, construction crews working to rebuild destroyed areas. But there was a sense of purpose and hope that hadn't been there before. "What happens now?" asked Captain Sutton. Amelia looked at the star map showing the locations of other Architect facilities waiting to be awakened. "We keep going. We rebuild the network, reconnect with other species the Architects created, prepare for the next attack. Earth will need to be brought fully into this alliance," said the captain. "They'll need to understand what we're facing." "And they will," replied Amelia. "Humanity has always adapted to new challenges. This will be no different." Queen Viridian's skin glowed softly in the starlight. Amelia felt a strange mix of emoti,